Just because I didn't reply to your message yesterday. The hallway light fell on his face as Tobias Jiang sighed helplessly. Little ancestor, what are you making a fuss about? I wasn't giving you the silent treatment. I told you I was working yesterday, that project was important. I zipped up my suitcase and stood, nodding as I passed him. Let's leave it at that. I'm leaving. Tobias Jiang held my hand. What flowers would you like this time? Bellflowers, jasmine, red roses. I pulled away and looked up at that familiar face. Don't give me flowers anymore. I hate flowers the most. Just as I touched the doorknob, the door suddenly opened from the outside. I stood face to face with Tobias Jiang's secretary, Esme Lin. I looked down at the house key in her hand and smiled silently. Esme Lin's gaze fell on my suitcase, a glint flashing in her eyes. Sister Lina Jiang, are you going on a business trip? Esme Lin curved her eyes into a harmless smile. Go ahead, don't worry. I'll take good care of President Jiang these days. I didn't want to engage, but Esme Lin seemed to raise her voice as if to assert herself. Sister Lina Jiang, President Jiang didn't reply to your message yesterday, not on purpose. It's just that I'm too clumsy. That project is very important, and I kept messing up. President Jiang is really gentle and patient, teaching me all along. Sister Lina Jiang, don't be angry with President Jiang, and there's no need to run away from home out of spite. President Jiang is already working so hard. Tobias Jiang remained silent, as if tacitly acknowledging that I was throwing a tantrum by running away from home. I found it quite amusing. Secretary Lin has been on the job for 2 months now, yet the company president still has to work overtime to help you revise the details of a project proposal. Maybe you should return your salary to Mr. Jiang. If I were you, I'd be too ashamed to take it, after 2 months on the job. Instead of learning from senior colleagues, you bother the ever-busy Mr. Jiang with project proposals. When it rains, instead of calling a cab, you ask Mr. Jiang for a ride, and even insist on sitting in the passenger seat reserved for his girlfriend. Every time we have a date, your rented place either leaks or has a power outage. Are you an orphan? No parents, no friends? Is Mr. Jiang the only person you know in this city? Esme Lin's eyes widened, her carefully curled lashes fluttering as if she had suffered an immense injustice. Lina Jiang, you've gone too far. Tobias Jiang stepped forward and patted Esme Lin's shoulder. She's only been working for 2 months. It's normal for her to be unfamiliar with social etiquette. As seniors, helping her out is no big deal. Why must your words grow increasingly harsh? Esme Lin's muffled sobs, her head bowed low, were especially noticeable in the quiet room. I turned to stare into Tobias Jiang's eyes. I've always been this way since childhood. Is this the first time you're realizing it? I looked at his face, so familiar yet now so strange. You gave her the key to this house so easily. Tobias Jiang froze. I smiled mockingly, picked up my suitcase, and left home. We grew up depending on each other, sharing our first home together. Yet you opened the door to someone else without a second thought. I tightened my coat and stepped into the cold wind. Returning to my other residence, I turned on my computer and sent a resignation letter to the HR department. The next second, the HR manager called. Sister Lina Jiang, does President Jiang know about your resignation? I smiled gently and replied, he knows, just to prove it. The HR manager breathed a sigh of relief. Why resign? Is President Jiang expanding into new ventures, and you're taking charge independently? After a moment's thought, I replied, you could say that. From then on, my life would indeed require independent responsibility. 2 exhausting days later, I collapsed into bed, utterly drained. The next day, as soon as I opened my eyes and checked my social media, I saw a 9-square grid post from a young girl at the company. It was an internal team-building event, with everyone gathered around a table, a large cake placed in the center. Tobias Jiang, dressed in a custom-tailored suit, exuded an air of nobility, while beside him stood Esme Lin in a white dress, her slender arms exposed, looking particularly delicate. I clicked on those photos and stared at them for a while, unable to suppress a scoff. No matter where Tobias Jiang was, Esme Lin seemed to stick to him like glue. In the center photo, where everyone faced the camera for a group shot, Esme Lin and Tobias Jiang were especially surrounded by the crowd. Those who don't know might think Esme Lin isn't a secretary, but the boss's wife, at this moment. Tobias Jiang sent me a WeChat message, a photo of a piece of cake. This slice must have been cut from that big cake, topped with the largest and reddest strawberry. Still saved the biggest and prettiest piece for you. Stop sulking and come back to the office. I calmly deleted his WeChat and all his contact information. I took a taxi to the orphanage. Director Lin had aged a lot. When she saw me return, she looked up in pleasant surprise. Lena, why are you back? Didn't you say the company was very busy? I hugged her. I missed you, so I came back to visit. How have you been lately? Before Dean Lin could speak, two people emerged from the children's dormitory. It was Tobias and Esme Lin. When Esme Lin saw me, a hint of smugness flashed in her eyes. Oh, Sister Lena Jiang. You're here too. Dean Lin was a bit confused, looking at me and then at them. Tobias Jiang also stepped forward. I figured you'd be here, so I came specifically to find you. Dean Lin asked curiously. Then why didn't you come with Lena when I asked earlier? Didn't you say she was busy with work? Tobias Jiang scratched his head. We had a fight, and she blocked my contact. I came here specifically to find her. Since she wasn't here earlier, I didn't want to worry you. I looked at him coldly. Who allowed you to bring her here? Esme Lin was wearing that timid, aggrieved expression again. Tobias looked at me helplessly, as if I were the one being unreasonable. She meant well. When she heard I was coming to the orphanage to find you, she said she wanted to bring some things for the children as a gesture of goodwill. This was a memory that belonged to just the two of us, the place where we met, got to know each other, and grew up together. He openly and brazenly, under the guise of a seemingly justifiable reason, brought along someone he knew full well had feelings for him. He even intended to bring her to see me, trembling with anger. I took a sudden step back. Tobias Jiang, take her and get the hell out of here. Tobias's face darkened. Are you done yet? Have I spoiled you too much? Such a temper. Esme came here to show kindness, and you're still jealous over nothing. I suddenly grabbed the toys and fruits meant for the children beside me and hurled them fiercely at them, shouting angrily, "Get out, get far away. If you dare come again, I'll hit you every time you show up." Tobias frowned deeply, saying, "This is utterly unreasonable. You need to calm down and think things through." Esme Lin followed behind her, striding away with an air of disdain. I gasped for breath, my whole body trembling uncontrollably. Dean Lin seemed to notice something and silently stepped forward, carefully embracing me. All the grievances and pain I had accumulated over such a long time erupted at this moment, and I couldn't help but burst into tears in the Dean's arms. I didn't go back that night, squeezing in with the Dean instead. Dean Lin patted my shoulder, sighing deeply. You two were just tiny little things at the orphanage back then, and he took an instant liking to you when he first met you. When you first arrived at the orphanage, you didn't know anyone, were a bit withdrawn, yet had such a fiery temper that none of the other kids would play with you. But Tobias especially loved teasing you. He said you were pretty. When other children called you a little spitfire, he'd throw himself into fights with them without a second thought. The matron's voice gradually trailed off as she spoke, while I stared out the window at the thick night, unable to fall asleep no matter how hard I tried. Yes, how can a person change so quickly? The boy who said he wanted to marry me the first time we met, who stood by me time and again, who believed in me without reason or justification, how could he become someone so unrecognizable, even blurring the most basic boundaries? Back then, on the way to school, he always carried 2 breakfasts, and on the way home, he always carried 2 backpacks. Later, a boy from another class confessed his feelings to me, and when he saw it, he got so angry that he pushed the guy far away. Don't you understand? First come, first served. She's my future wife. I blushed as I looked at him, and he was also red-faced and flustered, but he still stubbornly insisted, don't say yes to anyone else. When we grow up and have money, I'll marry you, and we'll never be apart. He was the one who bought my first sanitary pads when I got my period. My constitution tends to be cold, and every time my period comes, I'm in so much pain I writhe around. So in his childhood desk and later in his office, he always kept medicine for menstrual cramps and brown sugar water ready. In my first year of college, because I was quiet and didn't care much about dressing up, a wealthy, domineering girl in my dorm led others in bullying me. I was stubborn and refused to tell anyone, but I always paid back every wrong done to me. When they threw my textbooks into the wash basin, I filled their backpacks with toads. They secretly turned off my alarm clock, making me late for class, so I threw their socks and underwear into the toilet together. I faced the world with unyielding strength, but only Tobias Jiang noticed my reddened eyes and the sensitivity beneath my stubborn personality. He kept pressing me for answers, so I had to tell him the truth. The next day, he stormed into the girls' dormitory and smashed that girl's thermos into pieces all over the floor. The loud noise drew a crowd throughout the entire dormitory floor. That was the first time I saw him with such a fierce look in his eyes. He glared at the girl and said, "If you dare bully Lina Jiang again, I'll make sure you can't continue your studies here." He received a major disciplinary mark from the school because of this incident. I scolded him for being impulsive, but he just smiled and pulled my hand into his embrace. Although our Lina is quick-witted and sharp-tongued, always remember that I'm right behind you. I'll be your eternal support. Later, we graduated, rented a small apartment, and seized the opportunity of the internet boom to start our own business. At every social gathering, he never let me drink, even if it meant drinking himself to the point of stomach bleeding. Once, a business partner who had been drinking made inappropriate advances toward me. He tore up the contract on the spot and punched the guy. Starting from scratch, through all the ups and downs, we supported each other every step of the way, relying on no one but each other. From a tiny basement, to a cozy 2-bedroom apartment, to a spacious flat in the city center, and then to a luxurious villa, but we still often lived in the first house we bought. I never doubted that he was the one who would spend his life with me, and we were originally planning to get married this year. But everything changed after Esme Lin appeared. Unlike my strong and efficient demeanor, she was gentle and delicate, speaking in a soft voice, blushing before even saying a word to anyone. From her very first day at work, she encountered countless mishaps. The printer would jam, the computer would crash, important files would go unsaved. She caused numerous minor but harmless blunders. Tobias Jiang never scolded her, only saying that fresh graduates need time to grow. We've all been through that phase, and I didn't think much of it either, until her first weekend at work. That day was the anniversary of Tobias Jiang and me being together. As usual, we had reserved a table at a romantic restaurant. Just as the waiter was pushing forward the flowers and cake, and we were about to blow out the candles, Esme Lin suddenly burst into the restaurant. She broke through the social distance, grabbed Tobias Jiang's sleeve, and said, "President Jiang, there seems to be a problem with a project. Could you come back to the company with me to resolve it?" Looking at her hand resting on Tobias Jiang's forearm, my expression instantly darkened. "You're Tobias Jiang's secretary. If you can't handle your own responsibilities, is it your boss's job to clean up your mess?" Esme Lin seemed startled and huddled closer to Tobias Jiang, murmuring something. "Sorry, Sister Lina Jiang, I didn't notice you were here earlier and didn't greet you. Please don't be angry, but work is important. It's just one date." "Sister Lina Jiang, don't be jealous. The bigger picture matters." I let out a ridiculous laugh. "You're just a secretary who can't even handle your own responsibilities, yet you dare lecture me about the bigger picture. You have neither the competence for the job nor the awareness to read the room. If you can't do this job, quit. Plenty of people would kill for it." Tears welled up in Esme Lin's eyes as she pitifully glanced at Tobias Jiang. Tobias Jiang stood up helplessly. "This project is very important. She's still new to the job, so it's normal that she can't handle it. I'll go back and take care of it." For the first time, he didn't ask for my opinion. He grabbed his jacket and left the restaurant with Esme Lin. I looked at the unextinguished candle on the table and the slightly melted cake, feeling uncertain about this relationship for the first time. That time, I was furious. In the end, Tobias Jiang ordered my favorite white roses and personally delivered them to me at the office. Amid the envious gazes of my colleagues, I reluctantly and pridefully forgave him. After that came countless arguments. Esme Lin would constantly interrupt our dates, post photos on social media that clearly showed admiration and longing, and find all sorts of excuses to work overtime with Tobias Jiang. I was furious, hurt, and made countless scenes. Each time, Tobias Jiang would defend her, saying she was just a young girl fresh out of school who didn't understand social niceties. After every fight, he would send me different flowers. Unable to let go of the years of companionship and feelings, I would always soften. Until that day, perhaps it was the stable relationship and happy life we had always shared that made me too confident in this love. But the appearance of Esme Lin gave me a sense of crisis. I couldn't wait to fulfill our promise of marriage, wanting to use a ring and a certificate to make this person belong only to me. A day earlier, I reminded Tobias Jiang to meet me at the place of our first date. As I had something very important to tell him, I prepared a ring. I wanted to tell him that I would marry him, to be his wife, but I waited for him there the entire day. The ring in my bag seemed to mock my naivety. I sat there listlessly, watching the sky turn from bright to dark as dusk gradually fell. I opened my phone and looked at the message I had sent to Tobias Jiang early in the morning, but he hadn't replied. A notification pops up for a new Moments update. I tap to check. It's a post by Esme Lin. The CEO is so thoughtful. When I asked him for advice on work, he stayed without hesitation to patiently guide me. I must work even harder to live up to his care and attention. Accompanying the post is a selfie of Esme Lin, half her face and a peace sign in the frame, while in the background, Tobias Jiang is seen with his long legs awkwardly folded into her secretary's workstation. A smile playing on his lips. In the distance, the church bells begin to chime. I have finally awakened from this grand dream. It was foolish to think a ring could keep someone by my side forever. This ring cannot bind him. His heart no longer belongs entirely to me, it already bears another's shadow. That is not the love I desire. When I left, I threw the ring by the roadside. The resignation application I submitted to the HR department a few days ago has been approved. The company was co-founded by me and Tobias Jiang, and I hold a significant number of shares in it. After some thought, I contacted several minor shareholders and sold my shares in batches. I no longer want to have any involvement with Tobias Jiang. I've contributed a lot to the company's growth up to this point, and all the proceeds from selling my shares are rightfully mine. My university classmate Shenli called me, saying they were organizing a class reunion. Considering that after leaving Tobias Jiang's company, I still plan to start my own business, I thought it would be necessary to maintain some connections, so I agreed. The class reunion was held at a mid-sized hotel in the city, where they had booked a banquet hall. I applied light makeup and put together a simple outfit. As soon as I entered the banquet hall, several old classmates came up to greet me. "Lina Jiang, long time no see, you're still as beautiful as ever." Shun Li was the first to speak, affectionately linking her arm with mine. After not seeing old friends for so long, the sudden reunion felt genuinely warm, and I exchanged a few pleasantries with them. Shun Li glanced behind me and asked, "Where's Tobias Jiang? Didn't you come together?" "Oh my, I'm so envious of your relationship, childhood sweethearts who've known each other forever, supporting one another, and with both of your careers flourishing so well these past 2 years. When's the wedding?" I shook my head slightly. "We've already broken up." My classmates widened their eyes in disbelief. "Broken up? How is that possible? You've been together for so many years, finally overcoming hardships. How could you break up?" I smiled faintly. "Nothing is impossible. People come and go in life, it's perfectly normal." Shenli looked at me suspiciously. "From the way you're talking, could it be that Tobias Jiang did something to wrong you?" I shook my head. "Probably not." Shenli didn't understand the meaning, but she could tell I didn't want to elaborate, so she didn't press further. As we were talking, the door was pushed open, and Tobias Jiang walked in, followed by Esme Lin. I glanced back briefly, then calmly averted my gaze, pretending not to see them. Tobias Jiang quickly walked up, with Esme Lin closely following behind him. "Lina, stop being upset. Why did you block me? You've been angry long enough, can't I just apologize?" He smiled and apologized as usual. I pushed his hand away and took a step back. "Please keep your distance from me." Esme Lin promptly stepped forward, putting on that same weak, pitiful, and innocent act again. "Sister Lina Jiang, please don't be mad at President Jiang anymore. If you're angry, take it out on me, it's all my fault. If I weren't so clumsy, I wouldn't have taken up so much of President Jiang's time. He was just mentoring a junior, nothing more. But President Jiang is truly kind and has been very caring toward me. The classmates gathered around me, their expressions varied. Shen Li poked my arm. Lina Jiang, who's this? I forced a smile and looked at Tobias Jiang. Aren't you going to introduce us to the person beside you and explain in what capacity they're attending our class reunion? A flicker of discomfort crossed Tobias Jiang's face before he composed himself and introduced. This is my secretary. She just graduated and hasn't been working long, still inexperienced but quite diligent. She begged me to let her see how these things work, and I thought since class reunions are all about having fun anyway, I brought her along. The classmates around me exchanged glances and looked at my expression, not daring to say a word. I smiled and nodded. President Jiang truly mentors the younger generation. Meeting a superior like you is truly a stroke of luck. After speaking, I wanted to leave. In front of so many people, I didn't want to make a scene. Unexpectedly, Esme Lin was reckless enough to grab my arm. Sister Lina Jiang, please don't be angry. At a class reunion, you should always save face for President Jiang. As his girlfriend, don't embarrass him. President Jiang is really a good person. Look, he even helped me pick out this outfit, saying it's very appropriate and enhances my charm. I pulled my hand away with a laugh. That's great. Remember to send your CEO a paycheck. These days, even CEOs personally pick out clothes for their secretaries. You two sure have a great working relationship. Next time, don't forget to ask CEO Jiang to help you pick out your underwear too. Tobias Jiang's expression darkened at these words. Scolding, Lina Jiang, what nonsense are you talking about? I glanced back at him, sneered, and turned to leave. During the meal, Tobias Jiang deliberately sat next to me. I frowned and thought about changing seats, but all the seats were taken, and switching at this point would seem too deliberate, so I let it be. Esme Lin also stayed close by his side. At the dinner table, everyone happily chatted about their school days. A classmate mentioned how Tobias Jiang and I were once known as the golden couple of the school. I just smiled and didn't say anything. A classmate asked again. So you're getting married this year, right? Have you set a date yet? Esme Lin's expression grew increasingly unpleasant, and she suddenly interrupted. She picked up a piece of sweet and sour pork with her chopsticks and placed it on Tobias Jiang's plate. Mr. Jiang, try this, it's quite delicious. Tobias Jiang nodded as if it were routine and remained silent. The people at the table exchanged glances, sensing something was off but unable to pinpoint what exactly, unsure of what to say. Tobias Jiang picked up a piece of sweet and sour pork, took a bite, and said with a smile, barring any surprises, it'll be this year. Once the wedding date is set, we'll send out the invitations. Esme Lin bit her lip and shot me an unwilling glance. I set down my glass, waited for the table to quiet down, cleared my throat, and said, we've already broken up. You all shouldn't hold your breath. Tobias Jiang frowned and said, Lina, don't talk nonsense, even if you're throwing a tantrum. Don't do it in front of classmates. The atmosphere at the dinner table instantly became a bit awkward. I put down my knife and fork and said, I'm done eating. Take your time, everyone. Then I got up and went to the restroom. On my way back from the restroom, I passed by the smoking area and heard someone talking. It was Tobias Jiang's voice. A male classmate from university was standing next to him and asked, what's going on, Tobias? Did you and Lina Jiang have a fight? Tobias Jiang smiled, his tone carrying a hint of helplessness and affection. She's got quite the temper. Thinks I'm getting too close to that female secretary. She's jealous. But no matter how much you two argued before, she never mentioned breaking up. This time, she actually said it in front of so many people. Could she be serious? Tobias Jiang paused, then said with certainty, impossible. We grew up together, relying on each other. She can't leave me, and I won't let her go. The male classmate fell silent for a moment and said nothing more. I walked past with an expressionless face. Back in the banquet hall, most people had finished eating. Classmates gathered in small groups, chatting about their recent lives. I had no interest in joining them and took out my phone to browse aimlessly. At this moment, the oblivious Esme Lin came over. Sister Lina Jiang, you're really being inconsiderate. You haven't come to work for several days, and President Jiang is overwhelmed. I've been working late with him every day recently." Her voice was neither too loud nor too soft, just enough for those around to hear. Several curious glances immediately fell upon the two of us. Looking at Esme Lin, who couldn't hide her smugness, I suddenly let out a laugh and slowly stood up. "Esme Lin, do you have some special fetish for being a homewrecker and making sure everyone knows about it? Does ruining other people's relationships give you a particular sense of achievement?" My voice was loud, and the entire banquet hall instantly fell silent. Esme Lin's face suddenly changed, and she shrieked, "What did you say, Lina Jiang? Who are you calling a homewrecker?" With a cold expression, I slapped her hard with a loud smack. Tobias Jiang happened to return from smoking and saw this scene. Frowning, he strode forward. "What's going on here, Lina Jiang? What are you doing?" Esme Lin hid behind him, speaking in a pitiful tone. "Mr. Jiang, I was just advising Lina Jiang not to take her anger out on me because of you, and she called me a homewrecker and hit me." Tobias Jiang frowned fiercely at me. "She's just a little girl. How could you humiliate her in front of so many people? Apologize to her now." I looked at the man who was scolding me harshly, but strangely, I felt no anger at all, only amusement. "When I hit her, everyone was here. Why don't you ask them what she said to deserve it?" Tobias Jiang frowned and glanced around at the classmates. The surrounding crowd exchanged uneasy looks, unsure of how to respond. I sneered at Tobias Jiang. "She said that during all the days I wasn't at work, you two were together every day, that you would accompany her working overtime daily. She even said I don't know what's good for me." Shouldn't I have slapped her? A mistress flaunting herself in front of the rightful partner. That slap was long overdue. Tobias Jiang's lips twitched as he turned to Esme Lin. "Did you really say that?" Esme Lin stammered. "I just wanted Sister Lina Jiang to stop being upset with you, not wanting you to be too burdened." Tobias Jiang sighed and scolded. "Lina Jiang is my girlfriend. It's very disrespectful of you to treat her like this. Be more careful in the future." Then she turned her head. "Esme didn't mean to." "Lina, you," before he could finish his sentence, with a crisp slap. I cleanly landed a slap on his face too. Tobias Jiang covered half of his face, looking at me in disbelief. "Lina Jiang, you hit me." I stared at him with icy eyes. Homewreckers who covet others' things and ruin relationships deserve to be hit. But men with no sense of boundaries who emotionally cheat deserve it even more. We're already broken up. From now on, don't bother me again, and especially don't bring such disgusting things in front of me, or I'll hit you both every time I see you. After speaking, I smiled and looked at my classmates. "Sorry for making you witness this. Tobias Jiang and I have already broken up, and the reason is, as you've seen. I apologize for making everyone feel uncomfortable today. There are some other matters I need to attend to, so I'll take my leave now. Let's catch up another time when there's a chance." I picked up my bag and left without looking back. The atmosphere in the grand hall was extremely awkward at that moment. Esme Lin's eyes were red as tears fell silently, her sobs faintly audible. Shenli couldn't stand it any longer. "Tobias Jiang, do you think this is appropriate? What kind of occasion is today? Is this little secretary of yours our classmate? And you call it broadening her horizons, as if there aren't plenty of other banquets she could attend. Did you have to bring her here to flaunt her in front of Lina Jiang?" "Exactly," the classmates finally blurted out, unable to hold back any longer. "This kind of shameless green tea, anyone with eyes can see what she's after. Are you really that blind, or are you just pretending?" Men are all the same, no matter how sweet their words or how deep their feelings, the moment they see something new, they pounce on it like dogs after shit. It's disgusting. The man's a scumbag, and the woman's no better, always coveting what belongs to others, eager to be the other woman, and even daring to strut around in front of the rightful partner. She has no shame at all, still a college student, yet so morally corrupt. Who knows how their parents raised someone like this? Tobias Jiang listened to the hushed whispers of his classmates, his half-swollen face burning hotter. His expression growing increasingly grim, he said in a low voice, "Enough, stop talking. It was my lack of consideration. But I absolutely did not cheat. I haven't done anything to betray him." Shenli sneered. "Is physical cheating the only kind of cheating?" Ask any girl if they could tolerate the ambiguous distance and behavior between you and Esme Lin, or put yourself in his shoes if it were Lina Jiang glued to another man all day, flaunting it right in front of you. Could you stand it? Tobias Jiang was taken aback, not having time to speak before his phone buzzed with a new message. He picked it up. It was a personnel transfer notice from the HR director. Project manager Lina Jiang had resigned. Tobias Jiang's eyes widened in shock, and the next second, he dialed the HR director's number. Hello, what's the matter, Mr. Jiang? When did Lina Jiang leave? Why didn't you tell me? The HR director was confused. I asked Sister Lina Jiang, and she said you were aware. When I asked if a new branch was being established and she was going to take independent charge, she said it seemed so. I thought she had discussed it with you. Tobias Jiang's veins bulged in his neck as he angrily hung up the phone. At that moment, another shareholder of the company sent a text message with a photo of a shareholding change agreement. It clearly showed that the 25% of shares held by Lina Jiang had been sold piecemeal to other minor shareholders. Lina Jiang had completely withdrawn from Tobias Jiang's company. Tobias Jiang staggered, his head buzzing with a loud hum. With most of my tasks wrapped up, I packed my bags lightly and flew to a small town in Yunnan. For so many years, I've been running around tirelessly for work, striving for a better life. Now that I finally have some leisure time, I want to see the world and relax. The small town is beautiful, with lush greenery and a clear blue sky. I hired a local guide who seems to have some ethnic minority heritage, with deep-set eyes and a high-nose bridge. He said his name is Lu Yang. Lu Yang was very talkative and had an encyclopedic knowledge of the local customs, traditions, and famous landmarks. He chatted animatedly throughout the journey, and we got along exceptionally well. After about a week of traveling in the small town of Yunnan, Shunli called me several times. Lina Jiang, has Tobias Jiang contacted you? I don't know. I've blocked all his contact information. I'm traveling right now. Tobias Jiang seems to have gone crazy looking for you everywhere, calling everyone he knows to ask about your whereabouts. It seems he regrets it and wants to apologize to you. Are you still willing to forgive him? I shook my head, realizing Shunli couldn't see me, and softly said, No, I don't love him anymore. Shunli sighed, I really think it's such a pity. How many years does a person have in this lifetime? He occupied almost the first half of your life, but how can people change so quickly? I gazed at the endless wilderness and sighed softly, casually. The heart of an old friend changes, yet they say it's the old friend's heart that's fickle. Shunli said, I don't think Tobias Jiang will give up easily. It seems he even pulled some strings to check the airline's information and might track you down. If he wants to search, let him search. If he wants to come, let him come. I didn't come to Yunnan to hide from him, just to relax. Whether he comes or not changes nothing. Shunli mentioned that after I left the class reunion that day, Esme Lin was still clinging to Tobias Jiang, acting coquettish and pitiful, without a word. Tobias Jiang shook her off and told her to stay away from him in the future. Esme Lin cried and made a scene, but Tobias Jiang walked away without looking back. I listened in silence, offering no opinion. Hearing about their news again during this time no longer stirred any emotional reaction in me. Shunli said angrily, They only know to turn when the car hits the wall, and to wipe when the snot reaches their mouth. These men really don't know how to hold on to steady happiness, always regretting only after they've lost it. Just as we were talking, a familiar voice called out from behind, Lina Jiang. I paused and said to Shunli on the phone, I'll hang up first, he's here. After hanging up the phone, I calmly turned around and saw Tobias Jiang running toward me at full speed. He was unshaven, with sunken eyes. Clearly, he hadn't been resting well. His condition was terrible, a far cry from the confident and spirited CEO he used to be. Tobias Jiang stopped in front of me, panting heavily. Why did you quit your job and sell off your shares? I couldn't reach you by phone, and you've blocked me on all social media. I smiled gently at him, because we broke up. And I didn't want any ties to you, so I quit. The proceeds from selling the shares are what I rightfully earned after all these years of hard work for the company. As for blocking you on social media, I believe a decent ex should disappear like the dead. I won't disturb your life, and I don't want you cluttering up mine. It's as simple as that. I never agreed to break up, Lena Jiang. Tobias Jiang's eyes were bloodshot as he stared fixedly at me. It's not a divorce, it doesn't require mutual consent. Tobias Jiang's eyes burned red. Is it just because I didn't reply to your message that day? I told you I was working. Don't you think you're overreacting? Yes, just that day. I told you a day in advance that I had something very important to discuss and that you absolutely had to come. Then, early that morning, I sent you a message, but you didn't reply to me the entire day, from dawn till dusk. You say you're working. But is it really your work you're doing? You're helping Esme Lin solve project issues. She's your secretary, that's her job, not yours. Yet you stood me up for her and ignored my messages, so I'm breaking up with you. Is that clear enough? You're no longer my first choice. I don't want a flawed relationship. Tobias Jiang took a deep breath, forcing himself to stay calm. Lena Jiang, I swear I haven't done anything to betray you. I was just mentoring her as a senior to a junior. Trying to help her grow faster. I haven't cheated, you can't sentence me to death like this. Is physical cheating the only kind of cheating? Physical cheating disgusts me, but emotional cheating makes me even sicker. I stared coldly at the man across from me. Over the past 20-some years, I had never imagined I would confront him with such icy detachment. You may not have physically cheated, but you reveled in her admiration and worship, silently permitting her advances and boundary crossing. Every time you abandoned me for her, every time you allowed her to breach social distance, every time you prioritized her over me, every time you accused me of being petty, jealous, and harsh, that's when my feelings for you died. Rome wasn't built in a day, and it wasn't destroyed in one either. 1,000 small cuts killed this relationship. It's that simple. Lu Yang, who had just run off to buy me ice cream, came running back holding 2 ice cream cones, looking confused about the current situation as he glanced between me and Tobias Jiang. I smiled reassuringly and took one of the ice creams from his hand. Tobias Jiang's eyes were bloodshot as he demanded, "Who is this man? Have you been with him all these days in Yunnan? Did you already have something going on with him? Is that why you broke up with me using such an outrageous excuse? Lena Jiang, tell me, is it you?" With a sharp smack, this was the second time I had slapped him across the face, I looked at him calmly. Tobias Jiang, don't project your own fear of loneliness onto me. He's just my tour guide. If it's not him, then tell me why you wanted to break up just because I didn't reply to your message for one day. It was such a small thing, and I already apologized. I took a deep breath. Do you know what I was planning to do that day? Tobias Jiang froze. Look, so much time has passed, and you haven't even asked about me. The old you wouldn't have been like this. The old you would have put me first in everything, would have taken every word of mine to heart. Tobias Jiang, do you know, that day, I bought a ring. I was going to propose to you. Tobias Jiang froze in place. We've relied on each other since childhood, endured hardships together, and finally tasted the sweetness of life together. But the appearance of Esme Lin made me feel a sense of crisis for the first time. I wanted to keep you, with a ring and a certificate, but I realized I was being too naive. But I'm also grateful you didn't show up that day. Otherwise, if we had really gotten married, I can't even imagine you still maintaining an ambiguous relationship with Esme Lin, crossing boundaries without restraint. That would only have made me suffer more, turning me into an endlessly self-destructive madwoman. Thankfully, I was able to cut my losses in time. Tobias Jiang stared at me blankly, tears finally falling unnoticed from his eyes. I didn't know, Lena, I really didn't know you were proposing. We were already planning to get married this year, but that day you were just mentoring a junior. Enough, I don't want to hear your insincere excuses anymore. Lena, I can change, I was wrong, we can fix whatever problems we have. Please don't give up on me so easily. Tobias Jiang tightly gripped my hand. Have you forgotten? We were so good together before. We made it through those tough times, living in a leaky basement, cooking instant noodles together. You said even instant noodles tasted delicious with me. I've liked you since childhood. From the very first moment I saw you, I never wanted anyone else. You're the only one I've ever considered as my wife. Please don't give up on me so easily, okay? Tobias Jiang's voice grew increasingly choked with emotion. Yes, the past was beautiful, But precisely because it was so beautiful, I can't bear to see it distorted beyond recognition, nor can I settle for less. Let's just leave it at that. I turned and left with Liu Yang, while Tobias Jiang remained in place, sobbing uncontrollably. After staying in Yunnan for 2 more days, before heading back, Liu Yang and I exchanged contact information. She accompanied me to the airport, her deep eyes gazing at me. Will you come back to Yunnan in the future? I looked into his clear eyes. Maybe. I really like it here. If you come to Yunnan again in the future, you can still look for me to host you. Alright. I remembered the keepsake I had when I first arrived at the orphanage. Director Lin said it might have been left by my biological parents and had always been kept in Tobias Jiang's office. I would have to go retrieve it eventually, as soon as I entered the company. I received countless curious glances. My former colleagues greeted me one after another, hesitating as if they had something to say. I nodded gently towards them. As I approached the door of Tobias Jiang's office, which was slightly ajar, Esme Lin's voice faintly drifted out. Mr. Jiang, I made this for you personally. Please have a little. Your irregular eating habits these past few days are really harmful to your health. Tobias Jiang's furious voice erupted. Get out. Didn't I tell you already? You're fired. I haven't done anything wrong. President Jiang, I'm just worried about your health. Please don't be angry with me. Then came a loud bang, the sound of vessels being swept onto the floor. Esme Lin's scream followed immediately. Didn't I tell you to get out? Are you deaf? I listened to all of this expressionlessly and pushed open the door the next second. The moment Tobias Jiang saw me, his eyes lit up. He hurriedly stood up and rushed to me in a flash. Lena, you're back. Are you not mad at me anymore? I promise I won't. Realizing Esme Lin was beside him, he flusteredly explained. There's nothing between us. She just came to deliver something. But I didn't take it. I told her to resign. But she just wouldn't leave. I interrupted him. No need to explain to me. I'm just here to get my jade pendant. Tobias Jiang turned pale. Are you taking it back? Do you not want to have any connection with me in the future? Consider it so. Tobias Jiang grabbed my arm without regard for appearances. Lena, don't sentence me to death. Give me a chance to repent to you. Okay, I was wrong before. I lacked a sense of boundaries. I hurt you. Don't sentence me to death. I'll change everything. Let's go back to how we were before. Esme Lin couldn't take it anymore and screamed. President Jiang, it's not your fault at all. Can you stop being so humble? What's so great about Lena Jiang? She has such a terrible temper and doesn't know how to be considerate of you at all, always making you comfort her. So spoiled, so immature. Why do you have to bend over backward for her? Tobias Jiang impatiently slapped her across the face with the back of his hand. Shut up. Who gave you permission to talk about Lena like that? Esme Lin covered her face, looking at him in disbelief as tears streamed down her cheeks. President Jiang. Someone as outstanding as you, why do you have to compromise for her? In this relationship, you've always been the one making sacrifices, always the one giving. What right does Lena Jiang have to enjoy your kindness without a second thought? Before she could finish, I slapped her on the other cheek without hesitation. Had enough to say. Esme Lin glared at me with resentment. The door to Tobias Jiang's office was wide open, and colleagues were quietly watching the drama unfold outside. I sneered at Esme Lin. What are you, to dare judge our relationship? A wannabe mistress who hasn't even been acknowledged, acting all high and mighty. Lin Shanshan shrieked. I'm only telling the truth. You're always losing your temper with Mr. Jiang, yet he sends you so many different flowers. He's such a good man. Lena Jiang, what makes you worthy? Just because you knew him before I did. It's because I was the one who stood by her through starting from scratch. It's because I was the one who accompanied him to social events and stayed up all night revising plans during the early days of the business. It's because half of his current achievements belong to me. Do you think you know him so well? Do you think he's the one who's been wronged? Talking all high and mighty, if he weren't the revered CEO Jiang now, would you, Esme Lin, still be drooling over him like a dog the way you are now? Yes, we broke up. But not just any random nobody has the right to judge what I've put into this relationship. Know your place, homewrecker. Esme Lin glared at me with resentment. What did I do wrong? I'm just pursuing what I like. the person I love, in love, the one who isn't loved is the real outsider. With a sharp smack, I slapped her again. Tobias Jiang stood by, watching silently without saying a word. I sneered at Esme Lin. You're right, in love, the one who isn't loved is the third party. So you schemed, sowed discord, seduced him, tempted him, and now that we've broken up, you're still the one who isn't loved. A mistress will always be a shameful mistress, someone who can't be shown in public, devoid of any sense of decency, a despicable third wheel. I walked around Tobias Jiang's desk and took my jade pendant from his drawer. This is it, from now on, we go our separate ways. I'm leaving. Later, I heard that Esme Lin was fired from the Jiang Corporation. Her actions of meddling in others' relationships and being the other woman became widely known in the industry, leading to her being virtually blacklisted. With no company willing to hire her, within less than a year, she returned to her hometown. Tobias Jiang also stopped bothering me and continued being the CEO he was. Though I heard from former colleagues that he became increasingly withdrawn, spoke less, and frequently visited a psychologist, but none of that matters anymore. Letting go of someone is hard, but it's not impossible. I've come back to the small town in Yunnan, and it's Lu Yang who greets me once again. Will there be a new chapter between us? I don't know. But I'm certain I only want a love that's a perfect 100. I won't settle for anything less, because I deserve nothing short of wholehearted, full score treatment.